Oh, oops, hold on. Yeah. Good evening, sir. How are you doing, Black David?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. I'm kind of like a little surprised because I spoke to a black man concerning the nature of your show, you and Coach K's show, and I really want. I was trying to say, read do
Oh,
more because right now, black man's on the phone with me, texting me, let me know what's going on. So I'm trying to figure what happened to Coach K, but I'll be telling you
oh
like
yeah. He
70
sent he
likes.
sent me the link. I think I couldn't get in for whatever reason with the kid stuff. So cool. Well,
So
I'm in now. So
when you
Coach K
say
is this week.
what happened to her,
Oh, I don't know. She had pre-scheduled for this week. So
I
that's
understand.
part of the reason for the monologue today. So I'll just be speaking to the crowd. There is potential call-in, but I wanted it's Mental Health Month, so wanted to talk about a few things that's going on with mental health. And so it'll be mostly a monologue, but of course I'll open it up for questions.
No problem, because
Uh,
you guys show what heavily needed, and this is something I was trying to point out. But I noticed when you say we have like 17 likes on our last show, it only mean one thing, one thing. I think people are not really ready to face the obvious why they need to get these type of information.
mhm.
And it is a shame if our other ethnic counterpart were doing better than we are doing. And yet we're here trying to help people get a deeper level of understanding and clarity.
Yeah,
Would rather choose the entertainment garbage than something that's more informative and more impactful to make their life even much better. It said a lot about our community because, for one, I've been showing up on one fellow brought up on my platform called Sugar Mike. He's on the LP, and we have some
yeah,
deep conversation, different topics that many people trying to either overlook or not pay attention or say it's not much of a big deal or they want to
yep,
call it talking point, but failed to see the deep level issue that if you don't address these issues firsthand, there's no point on you trying to say you want to deal with this problem when the issue that created this problem is deeply rooted.
right,
I
yep,
think I would blessed to have a deep level of self awareness to understand there are some issues that need to be worked on, whereby sometimes you got to do the core deep level soul searching. You need to start asking questions. Why are you
hmm,
where you are? What are you doing? Why are you doing things that is not helping you? Why keep
right,
repeating doing the same thing over and over and over, expecting a different result when you're not getting it? What could be the
right,
problem? What is the
right,
roadblock you're dealing with? Is this something deeper? And when you mention about past trauma from your childhood, I'll be honest. Over 20 years of my life, I had to repeat the scenario of my upbringing in my head to see what did I do wrong? What did I
mm-hmm,
do wrong?
right,
Could I have done this instead of doing that? Should I have taken this route instead of doing this? What if I did X, Y, and Z? This is the habit I have
hmm,
for over, I hate to say that, over 25 years. I don't know why, but I replay incident that I experienced and trying to reanalyze over and over of asking myself
hmm,
what path I could have taken
right,
instead of doing this. So I found out it's only a
okay,
very few of us who think that way to the point where how you want to call it, you overanalyze and you
hmm,
over criticize yourself. Sometimes,
right,
even though you're doing the right thing, checking yourself, checking your behavior trait, but sometimes you put too much pressure on yourself whereby you don't give yourself enough credit that you at least you are doing something. At least
right,
you are addressing the issue. At least you are acknowledging what the problem is and you trying to find a solution to the problem. And there are many of our fellow brothers and sisters out there who don't even have a ounce of self-awareness. Don't even have
hmm,
an ounce of really. Let me step back. sit
Mm-hmm.
quiet, and start asking questions. Why
Right.
did I lose my job? Why did I have bad relationship? Why can't I get along with my friend? Why can't I get along with my parents? Why is I feel like this is always irritating me? Why is that?
Mm. Well, let me jump into some of those questions right now. I'm gonna start with my little spiel about answering some of those things and addressing some of those things. All right. So thank you for letting me on. Good evening, fine people. Welcome to Dr. Nakumbe and Coach K's Breaking the Chain of Mental Health. Uh, we without Coach K tonight. She already had a pre-scheduled event, so she won't be with us tonight. But please do leave your messages or comments in the chat. She will reply to them when she gets time. Again, there's a pre-scheduled event she was already going to, so she won't be here this week. From the title of the show, I'm going to be talking to you about negatively impacted relationships and overall well-being. As many of you know, or if you don't know, this is the month of mental health awareness. So I will be plugging in a ton of mental health into the conversation. And when I say monologue, it's because most of this won't be about the back and forth, the harsh way of the point blank way of saying most of this won't be debatable. So I'm going to be giving some pointers. And if it works for you, great. If it doesn't, that's also okay. But the goal by the time we leave this call, I actually want you to feel inspired. This is not to beat us up. This is not to have us think we're so ill and so bad and so wrong. This is really about understanding there's so much more to who I am and who I can be, but there might be some blocks that get in the way. So much more to who you are and so much more to who you can be. Not by my standards. I mean, if you think about it, actually, here after hearing me tonight, after you think about it, you might find some truth in the fact that you can be a better person overall and actually have more than what you have. And when we talk about more, when I talk about more, you get to decide what that more is. More, better health, more wealth, more friendships, more connection, deeper connections. So you get to decide what that more is. But as we start tonight, and first giving shots out to the people who are attending in the chats. Thank you for the tech support, Black David, and thank you BMU for allowing this space on the Black Man Unfiltered Network. As I always say, and Coach K and I say, the views of this particular show might not match the view of the network. However, I believe we go in this together with the same goal in mind, and that is to give you, the listeners, the support that you need. So here's how I like to start, what I like you to think about. And people sometimes give me pushback when I say this. If you went to a medical doctor, other than those of you who are already medically aware and nurses and all that, but if you went there, would you tell the doctor, if they said, ooh, something down there stinks, would you say, oh, no, me stinks. You can't tell me. I know my body, it doesn't stink. If you went to the medical doctor and you said you believed your arm was broken, it only takes them a couple of minutes to determine if it's broken. They send you to x-rays for confirmation. So they send you to x-rays for confirmation. But then do you go back to that medical doctor and say, you can't tell me my arm is broken. You don't know anything about me. I'm going to bet that we don't do that. I'm going to bet that we don't. Now, can you go for a second opinion? Absolutely. Absolutely, you can go for a second opinion. And I encourage for certain medical outcomes or diagnoses, yes, please. Because some doctors have an automatic boom. This is what we think it is, what we know it to be. And here's how we diagnose it. And here's how we fix it. So the fix it part. Do I have to have these procedures, which requires 5 follow-ups, or do I just need the 1 or 2, depending who you go to? One is all about the Western medicine. One's all about the Eastern medicine. One's about natural healing. Another about all the modern technology. So yes, get a second opinion. But when it comes to debating what the professionals know, When you need a lawyer, obviously not every lawyer has all the angles, but they have an angle. Do you leave the lawyer saying, "Oh, you're full of shit. I'm not listening to you. You don't know anything"? Yes, there are some lawyers that are full of it. But the point is, when you're seeking something, when you're seeking support, advice, help, they're probably going to land on that part. When you're seeking help for something that you don't understand, something that's beyond you, something that's out of your realm, something that's out of your scope, something that's out of your wheelhouse, do you turn to them and say, "You're full of shit and you don't know me? You don't understand me"? In most cases, we don't, other than those second and third opinions. But when it comes to mental health, we believe what we see in the mirror, it doesn't look broken. So then it doesn't have the same impact as if your wrist is broken, your arm is broken. You can see that. So if the doctor, or you can feel it, you can see it and you can feel it. If you have a legal concern, you know what that trouble is, and you can feel that inside, that anxiety, that worry, jail, no jail, trouble, no trouble. We can feel those things. But the wicked truth about mental health, mm, we don't see it. We don't. I mean, there's some people who look funny, right? But we're talking more than just look. We're talking about, can you see it or feel it? We can perceive it and we can see it in our partners. We can see it in our friends. You could talk to someone and say, "Ugh, I I think you should get some help." But a lot of times for ourselves, we don't see it and we don't believe we need the help. And then we'd rather argue and defend and deny. What's interesting for me, this is my experience, but I've talked to other Black professionals in the industry. And you know, one of the greatest complaints we have in that industry as Black professionals and as males, and you can ask anyone in the industry of psychology, psychiatry, uh, and other industries have it, but our greatest talking point is how many of our own people don't trust us. How many of our own people talk about us not knowing what we are talking about? We've actually said a few times, treat us as if we were a white psychologist, treat us as if we were a white therapist. That is one of our greatest talking points. Yes, sir. CPN, what's up?
Um, Listen to your monologue. It hits some critical area that got me thinking about it deep. And as a Nigerian, you know, I'm a Canadian born, but as a Nigerian, I believe, or let me rephrase it. Is it possible that it could be a cultural issue about people don't really acknowledge it, but call it something else that it's not? Because coming from living in Nigeria for 7 years, it's out in the open. You know when people are crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
They got some really mental issue at play, but the general public don't call it mental issue. In
Right.
the Nigerian community, it either you're possessed, he got a demon, or he lost his
Right.
mind, or this might be a divine judgment for
Mm-hmm.
what he did,
Mm-hmm.
etc. These things I hear it from grown
Mm-hmm.
folks. It's not coming from kids. Grown folk will
Right.
say these things. So when you hear it in the public for so long, no one ever come out and say, "Oh no, 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 it could be mental health issue."
Right.
That's never the case. So when I start looking at other cultures, it seems it's almost a common trend among cultural ethnic groups,
Yep.
unless within that
Yep.
cultural ethnic group they have family members who are heavy in the medical field, who's able to acknowledge it and be aware of it and change it. Say, no, 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 no. It's not what you think it is, because as an African, we are black, yeah, but as an
Mm-hmm.
African, they never acknowledge it. Can you explain to you why that's
Yeah,
always been the
yeah,
case?
I'll tap into that. Absolutely. Let me give a few shout outs to people in the chat. I see Edward Gilbert is here. Good evening. Thank you for being here. Lady Navoa, thank you for being here. Much always appreciated. I believe I saw Take Heed is in the house. Take heed to the messages in the house. Thank you for being here. And if I didn't catch your name, again, I will check in a bit and acknowledge you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. So we're talking about mental health and how it's such a crippling disease, illness, but also a diagnosis that impacts our personality. And a monologue, Coach K, side note, Coach K won't be with us tonight. She already has something pre-scheduled, so she won't be here. And part of the reason why I'm actually doing a monologue. I did say earlier, just to say it again, it is pretty much a monologue. And so if it doesn't fit for you, great. But some of this is non-negotiable. It's just non-negotiable. So please hit those like buttons. Now that you're here, please hit those like buttons and um, subscribe channel if you have not already. And again, I'll check back in with you in a moment here. So this point of, or this belief that if you look like me, sound like me, come from the same cloth. So you come from the same cloth. Now I'm going to go way, way, way back, and you get to determine if you want to call it slavery time or whatever time you want to call it. But I'm going to go back to a time where if one person got in trouble, the entire group got in trouble. I know kids who were raised that way. One kid got in trouble and everyone got a whack, right? You just line up. But if you come from a long line of that, generations back, then if one got in trouble, we all got in trouble. And if one looked like you, we all looked like you. In fact, that was the thing. It was someone that looked just like you, so you all are in trouble. Catch that again. It was someone that looked like, sound like you. No need in debate which one of you it was. You are all in trouble. Now, behind the scenes, when I look at you and you look like me and sound like me, and the person who enforced the discipline said we look alike and sound alike. So why should I trust you? Why should I have any pity on you? It's because if someone looks just like you and looks like me, I got in trouble in the first place. And you could become all the professional and guru, whoever you want to be. The point is you still look like me, sound like me. What about resources? If I'm not the one feeding you, we don't bite the hand that feeds us. Right? We don't bite the hand that feeds us. For those in those parental situations, you ever notice where one parent is the good parent and the one that doesn't live with them becomes the good parent on their weekends because maybe they go to McDonald's and have fun and they go to the movies, but the primary parent says that parent is not shit. All they do is take you out to McDonald's. I wish I had the time to take you out to McDonald's. I wish I had the money and the resources to take you to the movie, but I don't. So it appears the other parent is mocking, teasing, harassing, making fun of the whole parenting idea, taking the kids on the weekends and going to have fun. But if you look at it from the perspective of the weekend parent, I'm going to do the traditional guy who has the kids on the weekend, and maybe he's now in a new relationship, and it's his girlfriend. And again, this is not for every situation. This is not every situation. But it's his girlfriend that's taking care of him and the kids. It's his girlfriend that says, let's cook a meal tonight, not just go to McDonald's. So when the kids go home and say, we had broccoli. How did you? But we don't, if we look at it from the perspective of the weekend parent, I don't want to say they're doing the best that they can do, but they're doing the best to hope for the best connection. That might come through material things because I really don't know how to parent you, but I know how to show you my love through material things, by fun things, by activities. I really don't know how to be a parent, but I am busting my ass to make sure that I do the best parenting job that I think is the best. So add on top of that the primary who says you're not shit. Vice versa. The weekend kid gets in trouble, you send them home and say, yeah, if you don't mind, tell them no video games this week, no going to their friend's house. And the person says, yeah, Who's going to babysit them? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? I'm the one here with them. Deuces with you. When they come back to you in a couple weeks, you can enforce the discipline, the punishment. So there's a connection there because you look like a parent, you sound like a parent, you are one of the parents. Why should I trust you any more than you trust me if we really look the same, act the same, and we're in the same role? And it's when child support or child protection or some legal entity kicks in that we recognize we are actually in this together. It's in those moments when we recognize that it doesn't matter who's right or who's wrong, we are both going to suffer the same consequences. And to avoid a consequence, I might even do my part to help take you out. And I'm not talking about hurting someone. I'm talking about knocking down your character. I'm talking about making it seem like you're the lesser of the two of us. I'm talking about making it sound like you're the ill one. I'm talking about that old-fashioned version of gaslighting. I'm talking about that old-fashioned having the kid believe in me more than you and gaining the upper hand. So when we are facing pause, back in the day, there was someone whipping folks and said, you look the same, all of you get in trouble. Current day, if the system is jumping into our family, one of us has to save it. I'm the better parent, and I'm going to actually damage the one before we both get damaged. Hint, hint, follow this again. Back in the day, one got in trouble, you all got in trouble. Before now, I get in trouble with this parent. I'm the one working. I'm doing this. Did you know they smoke? Did you know they drink? Did you know they had that one girl? Did you know they had that one guy? We do that to each other so to get the upper hand. Okay, just put that in your back pocket because I'm going to talk about again how we still do that to each other. It's embarrassing how many times my core group of guys, other psychologists, my colleagues, how we get together and we hear more times from each other how our own people don't trust us. Now, my education is from a white institution. Unfortunately, I didn't go to a historically black college. The high school I went to was historically black. And they didn't teach anything about college ready. They taught it. I was class clown. I was happy to win class clown year of 88. I wasn't paying attention, but they really didn't prep us the same way you go to a college prep school. But my degree and my license is governed by the same as the Caucasians in the state. But you won't believe how many times, and the YouTube streets are different, but you won't believe how many times I can spot the same way a medical doctor can tell you in 2 minutes your arm is broken, send you to an x-ray to confirm. I can recognize a personality disorder. I can recognize a problematic behavior related to sex, addiction, drugs, and crime in 2 minutes. But you know, I get more pushback from people telling me you don't know me. How many types of humans do you think are out there? How many types of humans do you think are out there? This is not a question about gender. This is not a question about gender. I'm talking about if you have 2 arms and 2 legs and you broke an arm and you went to the medical doctor and they said it's broken, did you say no because I don't have the right type of bone like everyone else? Now you can say, yeah, maybe you had surgery in the past and maybe you have a rod and maybe you have steel and maybe. But for the most part, you don't have different type of bone structure as any other human. So why do you think you have a different mind and psyche than any other human that professionals that do the work don't know you? Don't know you. Now, when it comes to other diagnoses, such as the one where one of the symptoms, you're in the streets talking to yourself at 2 a.m, banging pots and pans, and you're nude and it's 0 degrees outside. So we're talking about schizophrenia. We're talking about these illnesses that lead you to talk to yourself and to engage in behaviors that you have no idea what we're doing. Pretty much the medical illness of dementia. Same thing. The person's out at 2 in the morning, clueless, okay, clueless. And the person helping to take care of them is being surprised almost on a daily occasion, like, this is what dementia is about. And the brain is actually shrinking. For the person with dementia, their brain is actually shrinking. And they believe they are full, so they won't eat. So now the internal systems are not functioning because it's slowly rotting away. They're not eating, they're not taking nutrition, and then they believe certain things are going on and their mind is going wild. There's only one type of dementia. Now you have different stages, but it amazes me how many people tell me, you don't know human behavior and you don't know me. Who are we that we are so special and so unique? Who are we that we are so special and so unique? And I'm not talking about I know everything. Let's cut the BS. I don't know everything. I can't even tell you how to change oil out there. But when we get to the point where we start shooting down help because of our ignorance, when we're shooting down help because of our pride, when we're shooting down help because we've mastered ourselves, but yet we still have the same consequences from the behaviors that we won't address because we happen to know so much. I don't understand that. I really don't understand it, because the person with schizophrenia, they don't even know what's going on. And when they finally get medicated and get stable, even if it doesn't last long, when they finally get medicated and stable, you know what they say? Whoo, that was me. I never want to go through that again. I never want to go through that again. But it seems like the people who don't have that level of mental illness almost welcome and invite the continued consequences over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Why? I'll get into a couple of these posts and question here in a second, and then we'll address why. And it doesn't mean I have all the answers. I won't be telling you all the answers. I'm going to be giving you what research says, and not everyone believes in psychology and not everyone believes in research. That's great. I'm not here to debate if it's right or wrong. I'm just telling you, after a certain amount of people say it, at one point do you get on board? And again, I'm not talking about following the bandwagon and the blind leading the blind. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if you go to that medical doctor and they say it's broken, and you go to 5 other doctors and they all say it's broken, at what point do you realize it just might be broken? Let me get to a few of these. Corey Hager's in the house. Mr. Visa is in the house. 360. Welcome to the Black Man Unfiltered Network. Corey, good to see you as always. All right. And I think I said hello earlier to Lady Navoa, Ghost OG. Let me pause. Let me give a huge shout out to the Ghost OG. I'll give you an example. I was on the show the other day. Here's an example of me not knowing everything, but really knowing something, but putting my stuff to the side because it wasn't about me. It wasn't about me. People don't know how to resist the urge to be right always. I was on the show. Now for, do the math. I've been licensed since 2012, do the math. Anyway, I've been working with sex offenders just about 10 years. I've been working with not only sex offenders in treatment, I've been called to court to testify. Now, anyone can go to court, but I've been called to court to testify as an expert in the field. It's amazing how the courts can trust me, but yet I have someone out here saying, you don't know what you're talking about. All right, here's what I'm talking about. Hostility towards women. I'll put it on me. My mother was 13 when she had me. My father is my step-grandfather, okay? So when I learned that story, in my mind, it was like, okay, so grandpa was getting grandma and mama. But my mom, when she had me, she didn't tell me the part about she was dating. You can't date at 30. You don't have consent. You don't have consent to date. She was in this situation. She dated my grandfather, step grandfather. Grandma goes to the store one day. They do some negotiations about where she can go and play and all that. Grandma doesn't know. Boom, they had me. Mom has me. They don't say who dad is. One day, grandma's playing with me. And she recognizes that I happen to look like this dude. When she finds out who the dad is, she does an old precious move. She says, you took my man. I'm going to take yours. She put me in a foster home. So I was in a foster home from about 1 year old to 5 years old. Okay. Mom turns 18, because back then 13 was 13. You could not just go to some agency and be like, I want my kid, and you get him back. I was in the foster home from 1 until 5. If you saw the movie Antoine Fisher, my foster sister introduced me to some things I had never seen before. I'll let you use your imagination. My mom brings me. And guess what my life was based on? My life was based on a manipulator, because she manipulated her mother as her and my dad were getting down. My mom was a master liar. My mom was also a survivor. And my mom was also a thief. And she taught me how to steal. In New York, Bronx, New York. We used to a long loaf of bread, Jiffy and Wonder Bread. You take a razor and slice under this thing. You take 4 or 5 slices, you throw them in a purse, but they used to sell short stacks of bread. So you had the long loaf and the short loaf. And she pushed that bag back. It looked like 2 short loaves there. She was good. All right. So the pillars of my life were based on lying, manipulating, stealing, and getting my way. I didn't know I would take that into my friendships. I didn't know a friend of mine actually had a hard time being a friend of mine, because I was draining, I was taxing. I didn't know that. What I did know was you had to prove yourself to be my friend. You had to prove yourself to be my friend. That being said, and where I'm going with it, my mother's life was based on survival from when she was a kid. My mother's life was based on survival from when she was a kid. So my step-grandfather did some stuff to her. I found out there was another man in the family that did stuff to her. And then when I was born, I was taken away. So spiritual beliefs, man number 1 is God. Man number 1 in your life is God. After the spiritual beliefs, who's man number 1 in your life? Your father. But my birth grandfather divorced with my birth grandmother, so he was no longer in the picture. So man number 1 from my mama is gone. Man number 2, stepdad, decides to engage in this relationship. So end up being portrayed in this relationship. This step parent end up making her girlfriend. That's a portrayal. Who's man number 3 / man number 1 as she creates her own family? Me. And then what happened to me? Grandma took me away. Let's look at the family line so far. She's not believing in God, because why would you let me have a life like this? Her man number 1 is gone, so she's dealing with abandonment from man number 1. Man number 2 betrayed her, and once he got booted out, and this is back in the day where he could have gone to jail, but my grandma said what happens in the home stays at home. She had him beat up. He's out the house. But man number 3 is gone. Here I am, man number 4 / man number 1 with her own family, and I am taken away. What is her history with men? They won't stay, they can't be trusted, and I won't be protected. Who do you think took all the ass with that? So she had what's called hostility towards men. And no matter how smooth you were when you approached her, she listened to the BS so she can get her bills paid or whatever. But she wasn't trusting no man. She didn't even trust me, and I had nothing to do with it. So where am I going with that? I was on this call the other day, and I was thinking the Ghost OG, because what I learned is what's called hostility towards women and hostility towards authority or men. And if you're a guy who's been trying to date several women and they keep rejecting you, and based on your previous trauma in life, you develop what's called hostility towards women. And it starts in your childhood and you bring that into your adulthood. Hostility, maybe you had a mama that would get up at 2 in the morning, change your brother or your sister's diaper, bam, crack her toe, and then still be up at 5:30 or 6 in the morning to serve dad and to get the kids ready for school. Now, as the son, thinking, wow, I'm upset with, oh, and maybe dad's kind of harsh. Oh, you didn't make these eggs right. You didn't do this right. So I'm thinking, dang, my dad is an asshole. But that's dad, and I can't do anything to him. So my hostility formed is for my mother. How can you have a broken toe and be up at the crack of dawn serving this dude, and he's talking to you like you're a piece of shit? Hostility towards my mom. Then I have a little sister who's a damn brat, and that's another female. And then this teacher at school who happens to be a female. And then I have my first breakup or relationship breakup and a heterosexual breakup, and that's a female. There's 4 or 5 females right there that I've been portrayed by that I don't like and I have hostility towards. Now, when I get into a romantic relationship, I'm looking for a mother type. Not so much my mother, but someone who would offer me the nurturing that my mother offered people. And I spend all this time working hard to get her, and then I spend the rest of the time trying to break her. You want to be my woman, you're going to have to prove it. Prove it. Let me do this to you. Prove it. Prove it. Let me do that to you. Prove it. Prove it. And it's never enough. I'm using your credit to get this. I'm using that to get that. It's never enough. I'm bold enough to tell you how I want to F your friend and F your sister and F your cousin. But after I deal with so much rejection and rejection and rejection, it seems like I'm a nice guy trying to be a nice guy, trying to be a nice guy. And then I'm talking to someone and there's bold out there, fuck women, these bitches, these bleep, blop, blop. And I'm just listening and smiling and yes, yes, say more, say more. That's because someone is saying what I've wanted to say. Someone is saying the pain. They understand that that's what I. So the hostility for women that I'm recognizing as the person who's like, yes, because the protector in me, not the guy that I am, not the person that I am, the protector in me is like, yes, but even worse than that, the victim in me. And I know some people out there want to be a victim, but listen to what I'm talking about. The victim in me celebrates with this person who's talking horribly about these women, like, yes, fuck those bitches, yeah. Oh, whew, that's not really meant to say. Again, expert witness, licensed in the field for 10 years. As I'm recognizing this, I'm like, I have to slow down because in these YouTube streets where I thought I was being beneficial and helping people and then saying, kind of just putting it out there, well, I think your problem is, and I shouldn't do that. I apologize for any of you that I've been doing that to. If you've noticed, I've actually pulled back, at least I hope. I can't see the tip of my nose. I hope I've pulled back times of me telling people, well, and based on your trauma, that's not my role. That's not my role. And I've been wrong for doing that. I thought I was helpful, but it was helpful. Hey, can I? But I went about it the wrong way. And the other night, I was going about it the wrong way. I felt triggered. And I started blowing it up. Hey, 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 hey. And they told me no, no, no. And they had a fancy answer. What do you think people are going to do? Of course they have a fancy answer. And people were eating it up. Oh, and they strategically put out there why they did that. Oh, you just want to get a view. You just want to get a view. But the Ghost OG sent me a couple of statements. And my whole point behind that is when I say, even I was able to look at it and read it and be like, yes, yes. And that's part of my point tonight. I was able to receive it. I didn't shoot him down. I didn't say, you don't know what you're talking about. Don't get involved and blah, blah, blah. I was able to look at it, receive it, and resist the urge to fight because it made sense. So, regardless of who's telling you the information, I challenge you to think about, does it make sense? How is it that I've had to move 6 times in 1 year in my apartment, or to different apartments? Well, the landlord didn't take cash. They told me I had to give a money order. This landlord said my house wasn't clean as much as there should be. This landlord, you went through 6 landlords in 1 year, and all of it was because of all 6 landlords? All did they have a committee meeting about you? You've had 3 jobs in 1 year. Oh, but job didn't like that I was late. This job didn't like, and this job was far away. And this, did they have a committee meeting about you? The people you're trying to date, you've been through 7 relationships in 4 years. Did they have a committee meeting about you? Is anything ever your fault? Ever? Ever? Is anything ever your fault? And I don't mean fault as in you are wrong. What I mean is the perspective that's been landed on you because of the impact of your childhood, the impact of these experiences. You didn't choose to be this monster. You are a monster because you are defending yourself, because you are in survival mode, because you refuse to be abused by another soul, because you refuse to be hurt. Why do you carry that pocket knife with you? Did you just pull out a pocket knife between your boobs, and to have someone open up like, yeah, and that yeah wasn't like I want to hurt someone. That yeah was, yeah, it's not what I can do to you, it's what I won't let you do to me. That's what that pride was about, and I salute that. It's not about what I can do to you, it's about what I won't let you do to me. But at what point do you recognize, well, shit, they might have a point. They might have a point. I'm single because I want to be. Okay. How do you want to be single and at the same time bitch about not having somebody? I'm confused by that. How long do you want to be single, but at the same time bitch about not having somebody? I'm a little confused by that. How do we take messages to take heed and tell her how she's so submissive and she's so this and she's so dumb and stupid and broken, but she's the married one? Well, because she's submissive and because she. So instead of trying to learn from her program, we bash the person. Instead of trying to learn what are you doing that I can take away, it doesn't all apply to me. It doesn't all apply to me. It doesn't all apply to me. But are you not submissive because I'm not having no man tell me what to do? I'm not having no man tell me what to do, but you'll go to work and have that person tell you what to do. You'll get on the public transportation and have those people tell you what to do. You'll get pulled over by the police officer. And I'm not, some of you the police officer's business, but you know what I'm talking about. For the most part, you comply. For the most part, you comply with total strangers who don't give a shit about you. But the people who are trying to care for you, the people who are trying to care with you, we give them the most pushback. I want to tie that back into my beginning. When one of you looked alike and sounded alike, we all got whooped. And the person giving most pushback looks like me, sounds like me, but the one that doesn't, I'll listen to. Let me pause there. Let me see what's written in this thing, and then CBN, I'll get you as I said last time. I promise now. All right, let's see.
We got 2 super chat.
All right, let's do the super chats.
One from Take Heed. She gave us a $5 super stickers. Then one from Taru. He came back. He gave us $10.
Good to see you. Miss you guys. Thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. Good to see you. Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a minute.
Let me just say this. You just unload a whole lot. And as you were unloading, I was listening, analyzing, paying close attention to every more detail. It kind of like tie back to what I said earlier about self-awareness.
Yes.
Your profession allow you to analyze keyword pattern. A lot of people demonstrate certain pattern that's similar to other people, even though we're not related. And even though we're not related, but it seems to me as human beings, we do the same thing, repeatedly without even realizing that we are actually doing. So when we have a cycle, kind of crazy when you mentioned this, the court trusts you, but the people don't.
Mm-hmm.
The court know your resume, your experience, and what you have done, and know your body of work, but the people could care less.
Mm-hmm.
So when they come to you or any kind of medical doctor and you're able to diagnose the issue, the first thing they want to do is they want to fight back because it's not favorable to what they want to hear. Because
Right.
it is
Right.
itching to hear what they want to hear that will soothe them. So when I
Right.
hear your path, I have to be like respectful. Your level of spirit is very strong for a reason because for one, people who have gone through what you have gone through could have taken the negative route.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of taking the negative route, they chose the positive. My upbringing is nowhere compared to what you went through. When I hear those type of thoughts, and I heard them before in the past from other people, almost similar, and I had to ask that question: where do that person get that spirit and strength to choose the right direction and the right path instead of following
Right.
the master to do the same other negative thing and repeat the cycle?
Right.
This is
So,
why I
but
try
let
to
me, yep.
go
But
ahead.
let me address that because it doesn't come from such an innocent place for me. And I'm going to be transparent. Now, Beautiful Animated says people have to be ready for that because they may know they need help, they may desire some help, but they have to be ready. And 360, I'm not sure if you're still here, but I know you were going to call in, so I can get you in a minute if you're still able to call in. So Beautiful Animated was saying again, people need to be ready. You might know that you have problems, you might know that you need help, but doesn't mean that people can help you at the rate that you want to be helped. They kind of want to do it at the rate that they want to help, right? And I totally agree. A person has to be open to it. Part of my question is, at what point do they realize that they're open or not open? At what point do they recognize maybe I can use the help? At what point do they say, I'm going to surrender to something higher than me? Something higher than me. If you go the religious route, when are you going to surrender to your God? If you go the non-religious route, when are you going to surrender to the fact that the way you are doing it is not working? The way you are doing it is not working. And at the same time, because people aren't total idiots, we're not total idiots. So at the same time, maybe your way is working. It is working. But here's the conflict. We have to know how to make it work within the institution, within the society, within the culture that we're in, not to kiss ass, not to smile and be fake, but so we can truly survive and thrive. Survive and thrive. So I'm a people's person, but I also like time to myself. If you only do it I'm always going to be by myself, then there's always the institution and all the you're isolating and you need to be and you need to be. So how do you survive in case your way really is working, but at the same time put yourself in position to thrive? And if there are kids involved, this is no longer about you. This is no longer about you. It's not even just that kid. We're talking 2 to 3 generations forward. Let's go back to my story. My grandparents did so to my parents, and my parents did so and so to me. That is grandparents, parents, and me. That's 3 generations backward, or actually 2 backward and 1 current, and 1 current and 2 forward. It's no longer about us. Now, if there are no kids involved, good for you. If there are no kids involved, good for you. But then you have to understand still how you show up in society. All
And
right.
I'm
So,
glad you said that because I hate to say this, when you did talk about your life, it's almost common among the Caribbeans. But they say the
about who?
grandfather is like the grandfather messing with their granddaughters.
Oh,
And the
yeah, yeah,
grandma find out and the whole village knows about it and then you on a hush and that particular child get all the negative heat, even though the child
yeah,
did nothing wrong. So when I hear your story, it kind of like wow, like do ever even think about the repercussion of these people instead of holding the child responsible, or you
right.
need to hold the adult responsible, but they just don't do. But what they did, it put all that negative heat on the child and make it say that child is the demon child.
Yes.
which is
Now, most
crazy.
people, yeah, but most people don't know. I mean, we don't think to think 2 generations back. We don't even think that. I'm a clinical supervisor, and I tell people, the people that I supervise, I tell them always, hey, invite your clients. You do what's called a genogram, where you map out your family. I say, invite them to do 2 generations back, before them. So not themselves and one other. Go 2 generations back, because somewhere all this started. Somewhere. All right, so I'm gonna address one of the things you were talking about, Black David. So this is what's written about me. So if you go to my website, drnakumbe.com, that website worked with a marketer. So they took all the information that's out there about me. If you go to Amazon and find my book, I only have like one like whatever, but if you have all the information like about this author, all these things, these are all things that are stated about me. So not me saying them. These are things that in the field stated about me. So Black Dave, I want to read these accomplishments to you, but I want you to understand where they truly came from. So they said I should be called the resolute truth. The resolute truth. It combines the idea of being unwavering in pursuit of truth and the word truth itself. The name suggests that the speaker is knowledgeable and confident in their message, while also being unafraid to tackle difficult and sensitive topics. Where do you think my unwavering ability to tackle difficult topics came from? If you guys listen to A Beautiful Animated Speaks, I love that she can laugh in one moment and look at you with a dead serious glare in the second to say, don't take my laughter for foolery. Don't take my smile as I'm an idiot. Don't take my kindness as weakness. All right. So this one says, I should be called a sage counselor, which enables the characteristic of a sage counselor. Blah, blah, blah. One such counselor may be an individual who has dedicated their life in the field of psychology, have an advanced degree of years of experience, working in with a diverse range of people. Their unique approach of therapy combines experience-based techniques with a deep sense of empathy and intuitive understanding of human psyche. Again, this is not my quotes. These in marketing, anyone they can say whatever they want about you. These are from colleagues. All right. They are known to provide thought-provoking and motivational insights and help patients to uncover their own inner truth and reach their full potential. So good for me. But I'll tell you where it came from. It didn't. Actually, let me tell you where it came from. Mr. Phil. So let me go back a little bit. Because this stuff doesn't come because I wanted to have a big heart and be out there helping people. It came because I felt inadequate. It was never enough. Now, people say, oh, as a black man, it's never enough. And some black people don't like when I say this. I'm going to pretend my black suit. Like I didn't earn my black suit until I became a young man. As a boy, I didn't recognize racism. Growing up in Harlem, New York, Spanish New York, I didn't recognize as a kid, I didn't recognize black versus white. It was Dominican, Republican, Puerto Ricans, whites, blacks, Jews. That was a true melting pot for me. When the New York police officer's shirt was downtown, like to the third button in just a t-shirt and a revolver, and they would give me a quarter to get bubble gum out the machine, and I'm talking to the police officer, and at the same time, they're like, piss away, kid. But the very next day, hey, Nakumbe, what are you up to? And I'm running to the paper stand, getting them a paper, and we had a collaboration and understanding. All right, that's the time I grew up in. All right, yellow cab, you can go out there and hold your hand out and all these type of things. With that being said, I didn't understand true black versus white. So I didn't wear my black suit where I'm making decisions for myself as a black man. And then the foster homes I was in 7 different foster homes. I wasn't managing business. Those foster care people were managing business. My mama was going through the hell, but I didn't recognize it as racism. I recognized as she was this young Thundercat out there making things happen, hustling and bustling. All right. So when I was 7 years old, my mom had punched me in the face. We were sitting at the bus stop waiting for the bus. And in New York, it could be anywhere, but they had these, it's a bar and then like a chain, a bar and then a chain, like a fence, but it's a bar and a chain. Again, these could be anywhere. I just remember Bronx, New York, Frontier Projects, 1420 Washington Avenue. So I'm swinging on this thing, waiting for the bus, And she says, come on. I was swinging back, and when I came forward, pow! I'm all dizzy and stuff. This man saw it and said, hey, don't be so mean. Give him a piece of bubble gum. Now, back then, you could actually give a kid a piece of bubble gum. I don't remember his name. I just know he was a black man that said, give the kid a piece of bubble gum. 7 years old. I'm 50 now. I never forgot that. Never forgot that. To this day, I can pull over and I get permission first. Kid is crying. I could be in TJF Friday. I could be in the restaurant, Beefsteak Charlie. I could see some parent going ballistic, and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. And when that black man's like, mind your fucking business, I said, well, his business and your business is my business, because if you go to jail, we're all fucked. All I'm asking you is to recognize where you are and how you're responding to that kid. That's all I'm asking. Now, again, it's not my business to get into someone else's business, and I get in trouble for that. But where do you think that boldness came from? It came from the idea that someone showed up in my life. Someone showed up. Someone was bold enough to show up and challenge my mom. I see my mom fight dudes. I never knew what that red light bulb was about, because we had to go to my room and had to keep my sister quiet when that red light bulb was on. And I heard them noises. And next thing I know, I hear a fight in there. I didn't know my mom was robbing them. I later confirmed my mom was a prostitute, arrested 9 times for prostitution. And each one of those times was in our home with us in the house. So when we're hiding in the closet, when she's going to jail, we were quiet. And it's all verifiable information. So I'm not here to blow anything up. I'm just telling you. But the point is, my confidence came from, if I didn't stick up for us, no one will. If I don't do these things, no one will. That's where that came from. It's not me just out there. And I'll tell you about Mr. Phil in a second. So age counselor. And again, these are what they say. You can do your own. Then the Severin or Sir, I don't know when I say this word, SOVERIGN, sage, whatever that is. So, Sorbet, I don't know how to say it, sage. Anyway, what it means is, and this is what they say about me, because I was trying to figure out my YouTube name. That's where some of this stuff came from. They were telling me, you should be, is the person who has gone through life's ups and downs and has emerged victoriously. Living gained an invaluable wealth of experience and insight. They have a deep understanding of human psyche, keep perception, and that enables them to discern and guide others toward their truth potential. Can you imagine what it's like to have someone tell me, you can't figure me? How many different types of humans do you think there are? How many types of different humans? I'm not talking about gender. How many different types of humans and human behavior is there that idiot Dr. Nakumbe couldn't figure out what your psyche is? As a forensic certified, come on, let's go through that, Mr. Let's go through that, Black David. PhD in psychology, master's in marriage and family, master's in psychology, sub-degree in addiction counseling. Bachelor's degree in criminal justice, bachelor's degree in substance abuse counseling, licensed alcohol drug counselor, licensed professional clinical counselor, certified forensic counselor, certified suicide interventionist, certified. And when I say certified, I don't mean just took a class and paid a few dollars. I'm talking about actually registered and took the test. Certified drug interventionist, like that TV show. I can go to someone's house and be like, or a suicide interventionist. I can say, before you jump, don't. All right, certified crisis specialist. Back in the day when I got that, it didn't mean that much, but now that's the kind of the buzzword, especially between all the police and social work, blah, 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 crisis stuff. All right, EMDR skills trained. I'm still going through certification. I have about 40 more clients to see to get to be certified, but I'm EMDR skills trained, which is a trauma-based therapy. Certified trauma-informed CBT, DBT skills trained. All right. Boom. Kind of just some other of these big ones. Oh, and then a bunch of these certifications in coaching. So life coaching, regular life coach, certified storyteller coach. I got that back when I was going into my comedy, but I'll take the storytelling coaching. parenting youth coach, relationship coach, recovery coach, all certified. So I say all that to say, ooh, I have all these credentials, but again, why? Because I still believed it wasn't good enough. In fact, when I failed the test for marriage and to be a licensed marriage and family therapist, when I failed that test, I was going bonkers. And then luckily, I got some help. I got some help, and I realized you don't need another license. You don't need to prove anything. Just be yourself. And it took me 30 years to get that way because when I found my mom drowning my sisters. So, you know, when you cry, you have that long pause. Ah! Ah! And I'm being silly, but it's a true story. I'm like, man, that pause is too long. So when I looked into the bathroom, my mom was holding them under the water, smoking weed. I know what happens at home stays at home. A family that prays together stays together. And there was something else she said about dying together. And I said, that's what's going to have to be. We die together. I cannot let my sisters drown. I can't. Mom! And I pushed her, and she was like a zombie. I looked down and saw my sisters and the bubbles coming up in the water. My mom let them go, and she came out of the room and beat me. I tell anyone who knows me will tell you when I talk about ass whoopings, I say the best ass whooping was the one from my mama. No one could ever beat me even better. That was the best ass whooping in my life. It lasted about 2 hours. She was high because she would lace her weed with cocaine. That thing lasted for about 2 hours. But black man, I'll tell you why it was the best ass whooping in my life. While she was beating me, there was one spot she did not hit me. One spot she did not hit me. And some people are going to be like, oh, your balls. My mom didn't hit me in my ears. I mean, she was swinging and hitting me, but I kept, she never made contact with my ears. And as long as I can hear my sisters crying, I knew they were not drowning. I didn't know about the Muhammad Ali rope-a-dope style, but in my mind, keep going, Mom, because I knew her like clockwork. She will eventually pass out. She will eventually pass out. As long as I can hear them crying, I knew they weren't drowning. Keep the ass whooping. Pow! Oh, man. You got to keep it going. You got to keep it going. And feel like clockwork, she finally passed out. I went into the bathroom, got my sisters. I'm lumped and bloody and bumped. Took them to the neighbor's house. They were like, oh, my gosh. And I looked at my two sisters. I was 7 years older than one, 6 years older than the other. And I looked them in the eye and said, I'll be back. I'm going to get help. Because I went to my best friend's house in the Bronx, and they looked at me like, get out of here. We're calling the police. I left. Stayed homeless in Bronx, New York for about a week and a half, and then some intoxicated man was vomiting in the bushes on me, found me, and took me to the police. This is before Amber Alert, so they took me to the police. I'm just a wreck. What happens at home stays at home. What's your name? Where you come from? About maybe a week and a half, I was in the hospital. This lady came with these cheese and crackers. There's like a pack of cheese on one side, a red stick and crackers on one side, and I was a skinny kid. Don't let all this fool you. I was bone skinny. And I was like, man. And she got down to that last cheese and cracker. I was like, all right, my name is. And I'll tell you that story for a couple of reasons. What happens at home stays at home. And as a kid, I feel heard. Black David, guess what someone said to me the other day on one of these panels? Oh, what did they say? I said guess what, but it was something about, Doc is going to go forever or something like that. I could talk forever or something about it won't be no quick whatever. Let's think about that. A kid who didn't feel heard, a kid who didn't feel acknowledged, validated, accepted, didn't feel heard is the worst one to keep a secret. As an adult, they can't shut up. As an adult, they can't shut up. Think about the people in your life, those in the chat. Think about those of you in your life that can't stop talking. I bet $1 million they have some trauma in their life. They were a kid that did not feel heard. I promise you. I promise you. Think about it. The ones that talk the most, that feel like they need to be heard, that go, stop, no, wait a second. And I don't know if you know people who do this. Swear to God, no, hey man, or they hit the table, and you say, calm down. They say, I am calm. They are calm. But they refuse to let the little boy in them not be heard. How many people do we know where they choose not to get involved in something because they might hurt somebody? It's best I don't get involved because I'm liable to hurt someone. And the other day, I was honest when I got triggered. And like I said, thank you, the OG, when I realized I got triggered. It wasn't even about that person. It was about me. And there's so many of us out there, we don't even recognize when we get triggered. That's part of the mental illness. We're not acknowledging when we get triggered. Black man on this network, how many times have we heard him say, woo, about my child? And people don't understand when that happens, your awareness goes from here to here. And black goes to red and red to black, and you go here to here. And it's not that they're an idiot, but black man is saying he will die for his. Do you understand that? He will die for his. We don't have to, but the ones who care about him say, whoa, hold on, man. Because if you go, we all go. If you go, your other kids will have to be. If you go, your other people are unprotected. If you go, your wife is unprotected. If you go, and time after time after time after time, I've witnessed him say, yeah, all right. Let me get at that. but yeah, okay, right? That's the protection that we don't offer each other. And then on the flip side, when black man is able to say, you're right, and thank you. If it takes 20 minutes or 20 hours, once he comes to the realization, like, ooh. But that's the part that's missing because we get so caught up in this superhuman, whoever we think we are, that our shit doesn't stink, that someone can't tell us about something. Someone can't whisper to us privately to tell us because who are you? Someone can't say out loud because who are you? No, the question is, who are you? Who are you? Now you are above getting help. You don't have to take the Western medication. You don't have to do the chanting. You don't have to believe in which is not called witchery. Please forgive me. I can't think of the other type of ways, chakra and different ways, astrology. You don't have to believe in those things. But when someone is trying to help you, when someone is trying to help you, why are we ignoring? Why are we stepping on that help? It's about their approach, right? It's about their approach. Let me burn on this a little bit more, and then I'll get your question. And I am aware of time, and I want to make sure I get to what people are saying. All right, so the Sovereign, whatever sage I was called, and then this other one is a Sage Spark. Again, who makes up all this stuff? I don't know. Sage Spark. Now this one I actually don't agree with. It says who looks in the mirror and then embodies blah blah blah. No, when I look in the mirror, I mean I do see my moneymaker, but when I look in the mirror, it's not about seeing all this wonderfulness. It's about seeing, man, I need help, or man, I can give help. The other day we were talking about, the husbands and wives, and are we willing to offer help? The Queen Smiley often says, what are we doing? Not just talking, what are we doing? Not just talking, what are we doing? And that question is often not answered. I don't mean by our network or this panel. What I mean is just in general. And I can't go, I realize my weak spot on these YouTube streets. I can't, there's some shows I can't listen to, where a man is telling a woman to shut up right there on the show, and then the host is not even saying anything. I get triggered. Like I can't, and I know some of these shows intentionally add drama and hypeness to the show to keep the viewers. I get it. But I really get sucked in when I'm listening to people, a grown man telling a grown woman to shut up. I don't understand that. And then the people who are not making sense, just not making sense. And then the people who add to that, like, yeah, who celebrate it. I mean, like you see the words going up, yeah, tell her to shut up and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, what in the, but I realize, and Black David, here's a reality. And I can't think of the term right now. Again, I don't have all the answers. There's an official term, if people can research it, if they know what it's called. But here's what happens. The smartest people actually think that they're dumb, and the dumb people ignore the smart people. And there's actually like the Krogan effect. Anyway, back in the 1900s, the Krogan, I have to look it up and find it. But anyway, this effect means the smartest people, that they laser in their intelligence, but from the outside, they're not that smart. And the dumbest people think they're geniuses, and they don't listen. In fact, the more you try to tell people, the more they'll resist. The more you say, hey, that's a problem, the more they will go, no, it's not, no, it's not, no, it's not, no, it's not, no, it's not.
Dr. Nakumbe, I am glad you just mentioned the obvious. Shout out to Security Board and many other these big black YouTubers. We had this conversation before in the back, and I pointed this one out for a while. This is what the problem is among our black people. It has been a huge cancer in the black community to shun people who are well read, who are well educated, who put in the work, and to idolize what African would call the empty barrel that make loud noise, who may come up as if they're highly intelligent, but in actual truth, they got no substance. And this is why we have what we have today. So if you see something and you acknowledge what it is, and you know the symptom to this, and you know the solution to the problem, they will not listen to you, but listen to someone who come off, I don't know, too prideful, too bold to think they know all the answers. By the time they realize the guy is a scam, then they go back to the person who say he got the solution to look for another scammer to scam them. And this is why I always had the issue with dealing with highly ignorant individuals who come on these platforms. It's not YouTube, it's TikTok, and all the other social media platforms. Here's my problem. Being part of the first social media platform that was established back in 1997, 1998 called colorclub.com, that is the original social media platform. Every other platform copied their infrastructure from that particular company. I was in college without working with these people, and it was rising real fast and went down here. It was an excellent tool, but I got to know what people were doing because that was the first start of generating me. It ended up being something that was kind of crazy. So if you look at right now, fast forward, anyone can get a platform. Anyone can come back as if they're highly intelligent. They don't have to prove and show a resume to show their experience and expertise. They can start as if they have a deep level of understanding. But we have to question their experience. They have to know all the holes. Which is crazy because when you mention these things, these life experience from most of the patients you have dealt with, I've seen that same pattern a lot. It's hard not to recognize it. It's hard not to point it out. And it's kind of like, it is cool. When I say it's crazy that we see it, we know it, but God forbid we want to help that person or we want to correct that person. We get screamed at, we get shot at, we get cursed out, we get up. What the hell are you doing? What do you know about X, Y, and Z? And it is, when I say it's baffling. While I'm listening to you, I'm finding myself. I remember I went through the same scenario in some cases, and I got cursed out by my mom. I got cursed out by my dad. I got cursed out by my aunt. I got my man. I'm not gonna compete with ass whooping. I have extension cord, 2x4, you name it. I got it. I got horse whip, police baton, hit on me, and it kind of like it's crazy. But the people that went to these type of lifestyle, or not can lifestyle, life experience, and they come out completely different than most. It's
Right.
almost as if, like you say, you trying to prove yourself what, which I was doing at one point. I
Right.
feel like whatever I do is not enough to the point, but I feel like I had to accomplish a whole lot more.
Right. And
Due to
so,
my
yeah. So
level
if you
of
don't
self
mind,
awareness,
let me,
go ahead.
yeah, let me pause you there. I see Scam is joining us in Tyrus. One thing I just want to say, if you want to come up, please do. One thing I do want to add, Dave, that like David, that not everyone's perspective is wrong, because if that's the environment they're in, that's the lens that they have, and that's the way they see it, then that is their truth. So that the people who are outside of that, it doesn't make their truth any more true. It's just from a different perspective. But remember what I'm talking about. How do you take your survival and go to, how do you go from survive to thrive? Let me pause it there. Tarus and Scam Likely, good evening to you. How are you gentlemen doing?
Hey, what's up, man?
All right, good to see you both. What's going on? What brings you
What's
up today?
good? What's going on?
Hey, Doc, wouldn't you, for what you've been saying, what you and David been saying? Hey, by the way, nice seeing you guys, man. I miss you
Yeah,
guys
good
so
to see
much.
you again. Like hearing your voice.
Yeah,
You have a
man.
very unique voice, and I don't mean any funny way. I'm talking about like that's
Dude,
the Tyrese voice. We know that. Yeah, certain people, you and Scam, have that voice that
bro,
I had
I
to catch
finally
myself a few
moved.
times. Scam, but I'm not going rah, 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 rah. I wanted to do that. Like,
I finally moved, man. I'm in a new crib now, man. I'm finally getting settled in, so I can hop back
okay.
on. But
How
I had to
how big is the
actually,
garage?
bro,
Yeah.
it's massive, but
And are
the
you in it
honeymoon
now
phase
with
is
no
over.
lights?
Oh, this is my crib right here. Just
Oh, okay.
I got a big
Okay.
ass, yeah.
Oh, nice.
I wish I could
Nice.
see it during the day, man. Like the honeymoon phase is already over because I gotta
Yeah.
buy a lawnmower. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like this shit is fucking. But I had a question for you, Doc.
Yes.
I agree with you, like, because I'm a big believer in perspective and like, like Einstein's theory of relativity. Everything's from the perspective of the observer.
Hmm.
However, isn't that up to a point? Like, for example, let's say just for an analogy, we as humans perceive the universe from our own perspective. You
Hmm.
had a civilization, say an alien civilization, they view it from their perspectives. Can
Right.
it also be true that when we compare notes, one of us is actually right and the other's wrong in some
Hmm.
scenarios?
Yep. I think both are right, because from your environment, your view, your life, your experience, that is very right what you said. And then it could be right from what I said. Here's the conflict. When we're talking about the exact same thing, who's willing to yield?
Mm,
Meaning, who's
right.
willing to see that a majority of it actually goes that way, or if it goes that way or not, a majority of the consequences go this way. So, who's willing to yield? We can both be right, okay, but does it get us the results that we're looking for? In order to get the results, one of us might have to yield.
Right.
It's
That's
like a
true.
key to your garage and a key to your house, which is all on the same key ring. Only one is going to work for the garage and one is going to work for the house, but all on the
Right.
same key ring. But pending what we're talking about, your situation might apply better. Pending what I'm talking about, my situation or this key might be better. And who am I to be this key to shoot down that key? No, it's just in a different situation. Your key fits, if that makes sense.
Yeah. In your experience, is it more when you're talking to people, is it more about, hey, look, in your environment you was right, but now you're not in this environment anymore, so you got to adjust to the new environment you're in? Like, do you have to tell people
Yeah,
that a lot, or
I
kind
do.
of
I tell
explain
them
that?
to adjust and to stop being delusional, because the adjustment piece. So I am who I am, who I am. If I move to Alaska, I am who I am, who I am. I move to Scotland, I am who I am, who I am. But I have to recognize there are certain behaviors that I do that won't work where I'm at. And I can either still be me, I'm going to be me, you can't change me. But if I'm going to be successful in that particular environment where that behavior doesn't work, then I have to adjust so that I can still be me, but within the environment without kissing ass, without jumping on the bandwagon, without doing et cetera, et cetera. If I joined a team, if I got married, it's no longer just me. It's my wife and my children and my this and my that and the 2 generations ahead. If I have a job that I'm working at, is if I'm working for someone else, I can bring me to the job, but it's still about accomplishing what they wanted me to accomplish.
Right. Hell yeah.
All right, all right. Scam, what's up? What's up?
Um, as a certified troll, my license
Love
is
it.
good until 2027. Trolling goes deeper than just roasting people, though that's the fun part.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been across very dust panels, and I've seen some dust and crust, the men and the women. Lately, it's been the men. It's bad.
Right.
It's just bad. The problem I have is, and it is what it is. There's a person who shows up, and there are three,
Mm-hmm.
and they know that in this space, they know that in their life, the problems they're actually speaking about, the problems they're living, the problems that they need to do something, get to a 3 to a 4.
Mm.
But instead, in that area, they want to find people who are at a 7, 9, 10, 5, 6, and try to tear them down or criticize them for being what they are, for doing what they do. And a lot of times they're just trying to share with you, hey, this is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
There's also there's a level of supposed to be common respect, and there's a level of I hate using accountability,
Mm.
but there's a level of this person got it, they got the answer, and it's right over there. And there's an expectation for you to talk as if that person got it and it's sitting right over there.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of trying to tear it off the wall, tell them that's not what it is. You stole it. You ain't nothing. Or white
Mm-hmm.
supremacy, pander, beta simp, pander. I'll meet you in the streets, and
Mm-hmm.
redlining and white supremacy from 1826. The same
Right.
things.
Right. Right.
Meaning, certain conversations is some kind of an expectation. And
Mm-hmm.
people are actually trying to reach down or lower the bar to say, hey, let's talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to fight. So, me personally, no problem. It's trolling time. I'm going to
Right.
rotate. I'm going to dust you off. That's what I
Right.
want to do anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But there's the people don't want solutions. They said no. And
Mm-hmm.
when we're talking about solutions, I'm mainly talking about the men. They
Right.
don't want solutions.
Scam. What do you think that? Why do you think that is? Like, because what you're saying is so valid. But I wanted to ask you three based on that. Why do you think there's some people, no matter what solution you try to give them, they always got a reason for why they can't take that
Two,
step?
there's two sides of it. One, the message to deliver, and I'll plead guilty. I just don't care. How the message is delivered.
Mm-hmm.
People want to be heard. Sometimes they want more than they're going to get. Some of this can go two ways. Some of it's imbalanced. Some of it is what it is. A homeless person is hungry. He comes up to you, like when I was in DC, homeless guy. I ordered some food. I ate some of it. Then it came with a salad. I gave him the salad. Man, I thought you was going to give me a pizza, man. That.
Right.
Okay, starve. I really don't care. That's your problem. I'm like that. You're ugly anyway. That's your problem. But why do you think I was going to give you a pizza? Why has it become your expectation?
Yeah.
And why did you not even acknowledge that you didn't ask for food? I just came and offered. Would you like this? So there's so many imbalances. Then also there's people who deliver with bad faith. I'm better than you, so you need to listen to me and bow down. That doesn't work. There's people doing that. And then when you check them out, they don't know nothing. They just talking that stuff. And they are the very problem that they're talking about. All the way up to the 1 million subscribers, to the dust, to the whatever. Another one, there's a competition factor. You have something they don't, and they don't like it. And they see you as a competitor for some reason. Instead of, hey, I want to play against the best. I need to be around the best. or just listen to somebody. Maybe somebody got something to offer, but they want to compete. They can't accept, okay, this is wrong. Somebody else might be right. Another one is just indiscipline. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to jump in just real quick. And I want to show an example using me as a live example. That homeless person, I then have the habit of I go into it right away with, they have an underneath belief that they haven't been heard. And now when I bring this salad and they want a pizza, and I'm like, why didn't you take I'm reinforcing that they didn't feel it. So I take this, I understand human psyche. And I say, oh, I take it like a proud way, like, I'm not even mad at you for talking about the pizza. You're right. And either I get the pizza or I don't. But like, well, it's a salad. Good luck. But I go into this whole human psyche thing. But then when I offer that to them and they're like, fuck you, I would get caught into I'm trying to help. Oh, I'm trying to help. Not even recognizing they didn't ask for the help. And then I would go somewhere else and be like, I offer solutions. And I was telling the person, da da da. So where you heard some of the stuff I was talking about, ladies and gentlemen, where does that come from? I believe I wasn't heard. And when I was ringing the bell to get my sister's help, and I was ringing the bell to get me help, and when the police officer came to my mom's house, because I finally called 911 on a totally different story, I finally called 911, and they came out, and then they left, leaving the room, zipping up the zipper, and then patting me in the head, talking about, listen to your mama. I don't know what happened then. I have an idea now, but guess what that little boy took away? That little boy took away that when I call for help, people don't listen. And so when I'm out with this homeless person, I'm like, no one is listening to you because you look dirty, you look this, you look that. Let's get you cleaned up. But you know how many people I ran into that said, I know I'm homeless. Thank you very much. I know I haven't had to pay a mortgage. I know I haven't had to pay a car note. Thank you very much. So anyway, I just wanted to say, like, man, even me, I was getting caught in that thinking that I know how to help and how to heal and make that person better, when all they were thinking was, I don't give a shit about any of that. If you really want to help me, you should have given me this, and I'm owed that. So I just wanted to chime in and be like, that's something that
I got you. Well, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
If you're animated.
Hey.
Then I'd like to respond after that.
Like David.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah, you guys are matching.
My thoughts on that story is sometimes people get used to things too. Mm-hmm. He was used to people buying him pizzas. And so he expects everybody to do the same thing, but you cannot expect everybody to do the same thing because people are individuals.
Right. So the insult was that you weren't complying like everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. Everybody doesn't get what they want. It ain't gonna happen. Everybody's not gonna get what they need. And everybody can't on YouTube grab the microphone, and now because they're bleeding, everybody else gotta bleed by listening to them. It's not gonna work. Actually, you can bleed more because the trolls gonna dig it, they're gonna light you up. Trolls got needs too. Everyone has needs. So if you don't know how to work this microphone, it's not gonna be it's gonna be a bad day. That's just what it is.
Right.
And to be honest,
you gonna make one more point before I cut you off. I think you were gonna give another. So I think you were answering. Yeah, one more for Tay-Rose. I think before I cut you off, Scam, Tay-Rose, you were gonna offer one more. What was it? Why people aren't accepting solutions? I think.
Oh, me or Teruse?
You were gonna offer one more before I went.
They really don't want a solution. They want something different. For example, I was on a panel. I don't think it was a dust panel. And some dust came over there. And I explained, this woman is married. She was talking very positive. And here they come, protect and provide, passport, all the junk. These modern women. It's like, don't y'all get sick of this? Well, they only want the big money. No. Go in your apartment complex. 1 and 2 bedroom apartments, you see some real beautiful women getting out of a regular Honda going up and upstairs. That's not true. Military, nobody's high value. They got wives, so they got real pretty ones. Well, they got some ugly ones too, but I'm just talking common sense. College campus, the freshman is dating the sophomore. He ain't got no money. Where are you getting this from? Somebody lied to you. Why don't you work on your attitude because you are negative? And why don't you become more attractive and appealing and work on your communication? Communicators got unlimited women fighting for them, calling, blowing their phone up. Blow these modern. I'm just putting it out there. Right. The negators came for attack. Simp, beta, red line, and blackity black. Come on, man. I'm like, come on. You got to do better than that. I can out-troll you and you're like, no. Can you hurry up so I can ask the host a question? Bitty black, speedy, sip, sip, sip. Okay, cool. I asked the host, hey, can you tell me about, you're married and you said you met your husband young prior to him being this six-figure, all the other talking points. What was it about that man? What'd you see in him and why you got on board? And you're still rocking with him and you're not divorcing and taking half. She gave like 5 or 6 things. They interrupted her to come yell at me. Said, you people, my friends, cannot take positivity at all. You can't have, it's too much for you. They didn't want the solution. They wanted to hear what they wanted to hear and feel what they wanted to feel. They're acting out of rage. They can't get the woman they want, all this, that. So they want a punching bag. And they want to find 15 of them gang up on one modern woman with rollers in her head and go beat it. That's what they want. They're not really looking for a solution. They're looking for a fake solution, which has changed the way they feel, but they don't know there's an ongoing cycle. And 3 years from now, they're going to just be beating up random women in the streets. Why they're wired that way, I don't know. I personally have issues. I want to solve my issues. I want to become a better person. Some people don't. I don't know.
But since you're part of that society, I mean, how do we deal with that? Let's say I go into the relationship and beautiful animated, I blow you up with all this wonderful, sweet, but you're like, I'm used to the bullshit, so if you're not gonna come real, don't come at all. But if I'm thinking I might lose you, I lose the opportunity of being with you, so I cater, I pretend, I subjugate, I submit. How do we deal with the fact that there's certain people who at some point we say, all right, I'll give you what you want, but really I'm still held to my mission of destroying you.
Enabling bad behavior, that's suicide.
It is, but I'm not announcing that it's bad behavior. In fact, I'm going to manipulate the situation to make it seem like it's your loss. I mean, not just in dating, but how many times have we been on these panels where at some point we stop? So I like what Take Heat says, the foolery. At some point we recognize the foolery, so we back up. We're not going to burn ourselves out trying to convince, right? We're not going to burn ourselves up trying to. But then when we step back, then we're right back to where we started.
Well, I can explain it. I struggle because I'm looking for balance. Men suck. Most of them, they garbage. Most of the women, they garbage. That's 70, 80%. What about the other 20%? Some of them on the borderline working it out. And then there's some superheroes. And there's some people who got something, and even them got problems. We are who we are. But why is it? I don't want to be on the man side beating up these modern women, that. Okay. And then the dude saying it, a raw dogging them 3 weeks later. Like, come on, bro. We're stuffing bus drivers down women's vein. Come on. What are we doing? We're not doing this where a man just has to be a man and identify as one. And then he gets everything that he asked for. We're not doing where the women are so oppressed because of what happened in 1822 and the men got to go simp for them. Where's the balance?
Right.
I'm going to say this. I think what they're talking about, these people want a pacifier effect going on. They don't
the men and the women. Yes.
It's both sides. I totally agree with you because as I see these conversations take place for the past almost 2 years on the YouTube street. I asked one simple question in my head. If they don't want solution, what do they really want? They need to pacify the thing, not saying moping experience and not move forward.
Like, I was just thinking the same thing. The binky and
I was thinking, did they miss their mama breast milk because that was the most comforting place they've ever been in their life? I'm being savage. If you miss the bottom feeling moment, like I've been trying to. This is me. I'm from Brooklyn. When you come to savage roasting, I'm good at savage roasting people in their face. I want them. I want to see the pain of me roasting them to the point where like, enough is enough. No, it's not enough. I want to make a man out of you until I'm done with you.
Right.
But the problem I've noticed.
At what point do we stop it? At what point do we say your delusion doesn't work for what we're this system, this program, this society, this culture? You're pacifying. You're being the victim. You being the superhero. You be whatever you want to be, but that is not going to get you the results that you want. And I can't control if you want to take that journey. Go for the journey. Yeah. But at what point do we say enough is enough? Please stop.
Dr. Nakumbe, you're talking reality.
And that's the problem.
Before it gets there, I've already identified this. They ain't trying to talk about nothing. I knew that 5 minutes ago. Mm-hmm. So at what point am I going to troll them? And how many do I got to go 1 on 3, 1 on 4, 1 on 5?
Right.
That's me. How many people I gotta?
I do one better. The media, they give them an endless whereby they see that they can promote idiots just like them to be famous. So I'll be a bigger idiot so they can look at me and give me a show so I can be a bigger buffoon on TV. Right. Many others say, you know what? I'm just going to unplug myself from this crazy side and go somewhere else with more people, more quiet and sane. I'm not going to deal with the chaos because no matter what you say or you do, they go to death because they get the biggest buffoon on
David,
TV.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
David, I got a question. From your background, wouldn't you say that in your native country, that's a death sentence for here in Americans? We can recover from that though, because like I think sometimes especially when it becomes relative, I don't people really realize some of the survival instincts we lack here in America that you needed in other places just to even come up in a certain age, never mind transition to another. You know what I mean? And like you did that, like you've assimilated to what, 4 different cultures? Coming up from God knows what? Like what perspective can that provide? You know what I mean? Like that's
good question.
Yeah.
Man, you give me the hardest question to answer. I'm not gonna the way you put it together, it kind of like it's totally obvious because I had to thank my 2 uncles who both passed away. They taught me something that I didn't realize it will come back and help me in my future life right now, which it is today.
Yeah.
I can't cry over something that would have been done, that already damaged, that already offended me, that already betrayed me. If I dwell on that thing for too long, not only my inner person would decay away, I'll be completely done before it even happens. So to get adjusted and just trying to figure, man, I want these people to understand this. I had to be totally deep self-aware that my life is not perfect. I can't satisfy nobody, no matter how much I try to oppress people, no matter how much I try to prove to people, it's never going to be enough. It got to a place where I say, you know what? I'm fit. I'm going to go focus on my self, focus on my journey, focus on how to be a better version of who I am. I'm not a clone of anybody else. I can do what is best for me so I can be stable and sane and not lose my mental capacity. Because coming from a family of betrayal, you wouldn't like to be betrayed from youth to now and it never stopped. You get betrayed by your father, you get betrayed by your mother, you get betrayed by your siblings, you get betrayed by your aunt. They make you feel like you're the reason why everything go down here. They put the blame on you, but it's not really you. And you have to reprogram yourself.
How did you know that? What was the flip? Because why didn't you just surrender to I am a piece of shit? Everyone, I already have proof. all these people don't like me, so why didn't you just surrender to that thought?
It had to be the uncles and the mentors I had in my life that kind of like shed the light on it and let me know what it is. Because when I came back to this country, I was on a suicidal path. When I unleashed on one other platform, I had to admit, when I came back with a mixed martial art background, I wanted to get into the UFC for the sake of using my beastly rage to
Physical
make
skills.
money
Yeah.
to beat up people and put
Right.
the picture of all the people who offend me on their body. So when they ring the bell, ding, ding, all I say is, may you rest in peace. I did take you out. But I realized that is not the right path for me to take.
Right. No, I saw that
So,
in AWA. They had those like those one you were gonna wear like one of them one piece suits that kind of go diagonal. You know that you know what I'm talking about
I
that
know.
piece.
I was way worse than that. Trust me when I say that. I was
Yeah.
the guy. I was the guy in high school punching brick walls over to control my rage. When I
Right.
talk about no cheat mark, I'm talking about real brick wall. I
Right.
put a 13-inch crack just because somebody offended me, and it kind of like a nasty trigger. And I had to be left alone. I had to
Yep.
walk long distance to control my weight. I had to walk in snow with short and tank top.
But what was the flip? Because watch
Yeah.
this. Mom, I mean, I'm just naming some people. Mama treat me bad, Papa treat me bad, the sister bad, 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 and then I need to take this out. And technically, what I'm going to be doing is the same way I hurt, I'm now going to hurt. And going into the ring, smashing them folks, and none of the people you were going to smash the wall, which you're not going to win that battle anyway. But
I
even the
know.
wall are none of the people who actually hurt you. So, did you actually have conversation with the people who hurt you? But what was the
And
flip? Because when I
I'm
hear you
glad
talk
you asked
about your
that question.
grandkids, yeah, when I hear you talk about your grandkids, look at what you do for this network. When I think about, wow, man, you are the glue behind the scenes, and like, how are you containing all? Like, how did you? What was the flip?
Let me put it this. I talked to my mom and my dad about these issues when I was in my early 20s. And you know what
Mm-hmm.
they told me? I'm making it up. I bring third party into the mix to
Right.
point out time step after time step after time step. I'm lying. I had my sibling lie on me on certain things that was not truthful. When the truth came out, when time to get the apology, they look at me like I ain't give you an apology. So when you live in that type of life, that everybody put the blame or the lies on you, but when the truth starts to come out and time to get the recognition, either they don't want to give it or they disappear. It got to a place whereby I just literally gave up. Real true story. I cut off my mother, my brothers, and my sister early this year because I could not take it anymore. When they were trying to
Mm-hmm.
sabotage my marriage, trying to make me look like the bad guy, make it look like I am no good, make it look like I'm a repeat of my father who cheated my mom with abuses. I watched this
Mm-hmm.
man beat my mom several times over. I remember one time he was not in my brother nor my sister life, but his stepkids, one of his stepkids molest my youngest daughter. I watched another person molest my other sister in
Not
my
they
other
changed. They did
countries.
something. Not we don't use that word, but yes, go ahead.
And it got to a point whereby one time I lived with my father when I was in my 20s, and he felt like he'd do the same thing to me. I kind of like, with a mixed martial art background, I just couldn't ignore him. It got to a point whereby I couldn't take it no more. My brother was there, my cousin was there. They both told me when I blacked out, my eye was black. I lifted this man up 3 feet in the air with one hand. And
Mm-hmm.
all I can think of choke slamming this dude. Because
Yeah,
it kind of like, it crossed the beyond the line. That
the line.
it got
All
to a
right.
point I had to stay away from everybody, literally, because
Yeah.
I didn't like that these people were to trigger me.
Right.
Well,
So this year, when I realized I'm not getting no respect from my mother, I'm not gonna get no respect from my sibling, I'll say, you know what? I text my brother and let him know. Act like I never existed. Just leave me the hell. I am done with
Okay. Let me highlight one thing,
you
and then we're going
know,
to switch because we only have 10 minutes. So let's get you animated.
and I was going to say that I blacked out a mom. That's a whole nother beast blacking out on your parents.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying like you about to be like gone mentally, like you're not even remaining the same. It changes you when you black out on your parents because they pushed you so damn far.
Mm-hmm.
It's different from anybody off on the streets. It's different from blacking out on family, whatever. These are your parents. They're not supposed to push you to that point in your life. where you back out on them.
Right. So here's a challenge I want to throw out there, and then more for those listening. That amount of betrayal that we recognize as adults, and when we're talking about, remember what I said, how is it that 6 landlords, how did so many of these family members start to treat us so badly, and why would our own mama and papa do that? So if you are in similar situations, I want you to think about what else could be the common denominator. If you had bad hearing as a child, please know there's potential for you to have already been hurt, feeling a sense of hurt even before you heard it, because you already feel less than. If you were the kid that wore glasses, if you were the kid that had a lisp, if you were the kid that had a certain walk or hunchback, if you were the kid that had a certain less than something, you started out the gate feeling less than, and then you expect less than, and then you receive less than. And it's not until you say enough that you start to push people back. And then some people, especially parents, if they see the certain kid that has special needs, pending attached to the kid, they may either seem like your enemy or the one who accepted you the most. Then be mindful of the sibling rivalry. So the kid who's in the wheelchair, they always get mom's attention every single day. They have no choice. But the sibling that can walk is looking at the kid in the wheelchair going, every day you need help? Little did they know the kid in the wheelchair is looking at the one that can walk and be like, it must be nice. Every day you can walk and go where you want to. So at some point, I just want to challenge any of us to think about what's really going on. And you know, when we had those conversations as siblings, when neither mama or papa are gone, and we're talking about what we're going to divide and all that, and then the one throws out, well, you're probably going to get everything. Why would I get everything? Well, hell, you've been in that wheelchair all your life, and you've always been their favorite. Whoa, been in the wheel. And we just had this major blow up because all this time where you were the special one in the wheelchair, and all that time I thought you were the special one because you could walk. So I just want any of you who resonate with what David was saying, please consider, was there even something before that, that from day one you felt less than, and it just compounded and compounded and compounded to the point where you finally had your own family, and then you said, at least they accept me, the rest of you stay the hell back. So I just want to throw that out there. Let's rotate. Beautiful Animated, what's up? What's your final thoughts here?
Well, I was going to say to that, luckily for me, my brother, we had the conversation before the parents started dropping off, whatever. So it was in our adulthood, but it was still, in our adulthood, because we, just like you said, it was exactly how you said it. I thought my brother was getting special attention and this, that, this way or another. And he felt the same way about me. And we were just like, oh, you know what I'm saying? So it gave us clarity in the healing. Or should I say healing in the clarity? Healing in the clarity. And as for you, doctor, you know, you say that people be like, oh, when's he going to stop? Or this is going to be a long one. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? You are an awesome storyteller. Your acting is award worthy.
Right.
So continue doing you. Don't let outsiders change who you are as a person. Now, when we were talking about you volunteering information about people when they haven't asked for it,
right?
Yeah, you can take some things from that, whatever, because not everybody's ready, or they have their own way of doing things, whatever. And you just put yourself there for when they do need you. But as far as storytelling, nah. Anybody got a problem with it? Screw you.
Right. Yeah. Part of the reason I wanted to share that is because, again, even I can be humbled. And even I, they say it's freedom of speech as long as you don't say too much. Even I can recognize that there are people that I learn from as well. So it's not so much that I think about, oh, they might change me, but at the same time, I have to recognize, I have to stay constantly aware. So a combination between of what Scam likely says and what Black David says about emotional intelligence and awareness and awareness and awareness. And I think Tayrus always butcher your name, but I think even Tayrus always says as well, you have to be situational awareness, right? So pretty much I have to recognize each one brings something to the point where, you know what, they might not be ready. They might not want to hear. And who am I? And I have to do it in perspective. I have to do it in a way that people are open to receive it. So when they say, oh, here we go, he's going to take off, I recognize the people who don't want to hear it because it hits too deep and they weren't ready for that. They weren't ready. Like, oh man, he's talking about, I gotta go. Right? I recognize the people who are on the show, like when we pick people, like, what do you have to think about that? You put me on the spot. I don't want to get involved. So I use part of my platform today to talk about no one is perfect. We're all in this together. And when we're sharing to help, especially if you're already part of a community, and I'm not talking about black on black, I'm talking about if we're part of a network, if we're part of a family, if we're part of a this, if we're part of a that, who am I not to be able to turn around and be like, oh shit, you smell that? That's my ass? Thank you. How's it smell? but my point is, who are we to be above, right? Who are we to be above? So anyway, thank you. Let's who would like to go next between you two, Teros? And you can tell me how to say your name so I keep butchering it and Scam.
It's Tayrus. Or
Tayrus.
You can just call me Reggie, man. Like,
no, because I'm not going to minimize. You're probably already get enough of that. Oh, I just call you Reggie. No, your name is Tayrus, and that's what I'm gonna call you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor.
What are your final thoughts, sir?
These kind of conversations are really missed in this transition because I grew up as an only child. I didn't have any siblings. And then I grew up as a military brat, so I'm constantly moving around. You don't really socially, there's not a lot of stability there. You know what I mean? And then my mom's side is New York City. David knows, fast pace, everything. You can't just go at the green light. You have to anticipate the green light, or you're gonna get honked at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when I hear you guys speak from that larger family perspective and actually having to share growing up, you know, again, I'm the only child, and then my parents after the military owned a small business, so they were always busy. So I was constantly at a young age having to learn everything by myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys, especially some of you who are the oldest, and I will never understand this, is why it's so fascinating. You had the responsibilities of the only child while also having the responsibilities of half the parenting. Because if any of the parents were absent, you were next in line.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just crazy to think about. That's why like David, that's just enlightening, because like the oldest or the second oldest, they get blamed for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't fathom that. You know what I mean? That's so I just really appreciate that this kind of conversation.
You got it. I'm glad you joined it. Much appreciated. And so glad to see you again. All right, Scam.
Sure,
Yeah, what's going on? Shout out to Tayrus. Welcome back. And thank you. You didn't interrupt since the time you came over, you didn't interrupt anybody. Had a peaceful conversation. Salute to you. That's not a shot. It's actually a real compliment.
It's not at all.
Right.
But I came from dust panels in the beginning, like the dust and the crust. So it's something I had to work on, like coming into better spaces. But I was gonna say, people don't want solutions. No, they don't. They're gonna do what they want to do. So just troll them and get it over with. I will say this, for the people who do want solutions or do just want better, you know what the problem is. Whatever you're dealing with, if you don't get it fixed, it's still gonna be there tomorrow. And then something else is coming. The tooth fairy, the wig fairy, they're not coming. They're not. But you can come to the pander panels and they'll tell you everything that you want to hear. Yeah, man, it's the woman's fault. Yeah, these women's. Yeah, these men's is. Yeah, 1852 redlining. You can keep hearing that, but at the end of the day, you know what the problem is. And there's somebody that you know that can fix that problem other than just you. Fix the problem or get trouble. It's your choice. That's all
Love it. Love it. Thank you. I'll end with this. Thank you for everyone who came up on the panel. Thank you for all those who are in the chat. Much, much appreciated. Here's a final thought I'd like to leave you with. When we talk about if it's mental illness or behavior, when we talk about if it's criminal versus whatever, when we talk about behavior that we have, please understand what is the purpose. There's a purpose behind every behavior. What is the purpose? And when it goes beyond that point where you can't control it, so even if you didn't want to self-soothe one more time, but you couldn't help it and you did it, and you were going to go to bed at 11 p.m., but you stayed up to 2 a.m., and you promised tomorrow you won't do it, and you promised tomorrow you won't do it. You're like, all right, I'm done with it. I'm not going to use this anymore. Vaseline, be gone. No more. And then the next thing you know, you're putting the towel down and doing what you need to do. It's gotten to the point where you can't control it. You can't control it. And I'm saying when you get into the pattern, when you have to squeeze one out in the morning and squeeze one out at night, when you can't control it, when you can't talk to your partner without blowing up and without having a, no, you be quiet, let me, and you can't exert it, you can't listen. When you get to the point where you can't and refuse to listen, that's a problem. When you get to the point where you've lost the 6th job, when you got to the point where you had to move for the 6th time, when you got to the point where you can't control the behavior, don't be above asking or don't be above receiving help. Corey Yeager. Corey was on the show the other day. I won't mention the show, whatever, but I heard him say, brother, I came to save you. And after a while, he said, you're on your own and good luck. I'll catch the rest on CNN. He said, I came to save you because he trusted what he had to offer. And the person listening said they trusted it too, but I think they went beyond what they can control. They went beyond and just blindly kept going. And so what I'm saying is if you have people willing to offer you the support, grab on if you can. Grab on to that support if you can. And of that, Corey was also not drowning with him. You know, they say don't jump in the pool with someone drowning. You just put a stick or a pole out there and tell them good luck. So Corey was with that stick out there and at some point said, you don't want the help. Scam, I've heard you say it. All right, I think I heard you the other night. You're above trollable or something. You're untrollable.
Not trollable.
Yeah, not trollable.
That was the answer to that. Whatever was being said after I logged off, the answer to whatever he said was no.
Right.
Whatever came out of his mouth,
right.
The answer was no.
Right.
But I love the fact at some point where you were able to say, I've gone as far as I'm willing to go. And so as a final thought, I want us to remember at some point, we can't save everyone. We can't fix everyone. And on the flip side of that, recognize at the point when you need help. It may not be this diagnosis of mental illness. It could be because of the environment. It could be because of past trauma. It could be because of your current situation, stressors, but know when it's the point of needing help and don't be above receiving it. I thank everyone for being in the chat. The Corey's, thank you for being here. Quincy, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Greatly appreciated the Wife School podcast. Who else do we have? I know at one point I saw
Dean, Wife School.
Oh, Wife School, yes. Thank you. Take heed to the messages here. Sir Hale
Speak was here.
Yes, and Black Man was here. Thank you, everyone. If I missed your name, my apologies. Thank you for supporting the
I'm trying to think. Did I see Information Man tonight? I don't know.
Oh, he didn't come in yet.
We did.
I wish he did. I wish he did.
I think, or maybe it was last night, but I saw his name recently. All right. So thank you, everyone, for being here. Please hit the like button. It helps with the algorithms. Please hit the like button. Thank you for supporting the channel. Much appreciate you. And catch you next time. Coach K, we'll see you next week. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
It does.